the whole world is moving towards technology. Now look at the yellow black taxis, they are onto Ola and Uber. So look at the restaurant delivery guy, it's onto Swiggy. So when everything is moving on an application, when everything is going digital.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Prodigy Talks. With me, I have a fabulous young man, Tilak Mehta, the founder of PapersNParcels, but the recipient of the Prodigy Awards of the Global Child Prodigy 2020. Welcome on the show, Tilak.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Tilak, before we went live, I was just having a very cordial chat with you in terms of getting ready. I see a lot of poise in you, right? And I see a lot of these with all the prodigies that I've been talking to. But then I'm fairly young myself in comparison to what people of my age do, but you're much, much younger. So I should start off with a simple question. How old are you?
So I turned 15 this May, and I'm studying in standard.
You studying in standard?
10.
10. Hey, which school are you studying in?
Studying in Garodia International. That's a school in Mumbai.
It's in Mumbai. Okay, good. So you studied standard 10 and you started your business at which age?
The age of 13.
So it's about 2 years that you've been balancing your work and, study life. And, work and personal life itself is a bit of a struggle for a lot of people, but you do your work, you study, and your personal life, right?
That's right. That's right.
You want to tell me something about that?
Oh, sure. Why not? So I'm usually asked this question about, how are you able to manage your studies, then your sports and your business all together. So the only thing, I always tell them is the key to all of this is nothing but prioritization. So what I do is I set a timetable for myself. It comprises of an equal balance of all the three: sports, business, and my education, so that I don't have to compromise on any of those. The only thing,
it's good. It's good. I'm listening.
Yeah. So again, if you want to balance all the three, I have sometimes had to compromise on my sleep, but that's okay. And sometimes when I have my exams, I need to shift the focus more towards academics. But when I have my vacations or holidays, I ensure to put most of my to invest most of my effort and time into business. So that's how I try and manage everything together.
See, the beautiful thing, you said prioritization. Even when I spoke to you earlier, I asked that you must be getting a lot of requests to stay on talk shows and all of that, right? And you do prioritize, and prioritize is one of the most important things. I'm treating you like an adult right now. I know. I'm just going straight into questions rather than prioritization. Involves you understanding, where you want to go, where you want to be, right? And only then you understand which is more important for you to get there and all of that. The beautiful thing about me running many institutions is I heard you say you education, sports, and business. You broke education and sports like two different components. Yes. Why?
So basically for me, education, sports, and business, I differentiate into three, because when I talk about education, it's more of the studies and the studies part. And, I differentiate sport because I equally believe that sports and education both have equal importance to me. And sports is more or less like a stress buster for me, and it has always been. And I have, since my childhood, I've always been really, really inclined towards sports.
Lovely. Rude of me not to ask, you live with your family, of course. You're 15 and you're going through school then. And how big a role does your family play in all of this? And tell us a little about your family. Are you the only son? That's not something you read about in the newspapers a lot. So tell us a little about that.
So I'm fortunate to have a twin sister.
And twin sister?
Yes.
Yeah, it's lovely.
So her name's Tanvi, and it's always good to have her by my side. Competition doesn't end in school; it carries on even at home. it's just amazing
Great.
to have her by my side all the time. And apart from that, I would really want to say that my parents and my sister have played a really big role in what I am today. It would have never been possible if they had been reluctant, so, like if they had been reluctant that you should not do it at such a young age like most of the other parents do. If that would have been the case, I don't think I would have ever been here. And that support, getting that support from parents is only for the lucky ones, and I believe I was one of them. And my sister has
Nice of you to
always
say that. Yeah, nice of you to say that.
and my sister, I would say she has one of the biggest roles, because after all she always keeps me grounded, no matter be it like she tells me, if you're I don't care if you're a Forbes panelist, TEDx speaker, or whatever, in the end you are the only one who has to get a glass of water for me for the kitchen. So she has just been amazing, supportive, and the best part, certain siblings do get jealous when they see their brothers or sisters, getting into fame. But she's always like, I'm proud that you're my brother.
Lovely. No, I like how your parents name both of you with T's, Tilak and Tanvi. Has anybody ever referred to you as T2?
So we have been usually referred as TT.
Aha, okay. So one of my companies is called K3, right? It's so I say K to the power of three. And in fact,
Three.
we're seated in that office right now. Which stands for my father's name, which is also with K, Mr. Kandasamy, my son's name, which is also with K, Kalingen, and my name, Kevin. So I can't call myself KKK. It'll be very bad. Considering in America it is called Ku Klux Klan. So we call ourselves K to the power of three, K3 written, but K to the power of three. So I asked, maybe this T2, and then you have the Terminators and all those movies with the T2s and all that. Very well. So beautiful support from family. Lovely, sister who stands by you at all time like a tag team. Um, is it okay for me to ask, what does your father do? And
Of course,
yeah,
of course. So my father is basically into the business of logistics. He does freight
okay,
forwarding, and he's also into shipping. He is the CEO of the company named Rushab Sealing Private Limited.
lovely. And your mom?
My mom is a homemaker.
Love, it's beautiful for people to say homemaker rather than a housewife, and I'm glad you're mature enough to say that. So very well. So is there anybody else in your family that is a part of all that you do and influences your day-to-day life? Is there anybody else?
So again, I'd say I'm really, really fortunate that my grandparents also live with me, and
Very good.
that the soft edge your grandmother always has for you, always being very, very, very concerned about what you're doing. And then comes the grandfather, who's always so my grandfather, he's very skeptical when he takes risk. He analyzes it pretty well. So anything I do, I usually tend to share it with him to get his inputs, because he reads he reads so much. He knows more or less about everything that's going on. So getting inputs from him constantly is also great.
Well, beautiful. Your dad is the MD of a logistics company, but I was reading up all the papers and everything everywhere. So you are a second generation entrepreneur, or your grandfather was also an entrepreneur? What is the story there?
So basically, let me start from my great grandfather then. So
Please do.
but when I'm talking to you about this, this has been my greatest inspiration so far, my family, because my great grandfather started by selling Excite batteries on in Mumbai. Later, my grandfather, took the whole business into the transportation, and then it is my father who expanded more into shipping. And so yeah, so that's how the journey of my family has been. And looking at this, it always motivates me to do something innovative and something more to continue this legacy and make the family proud.
Beautiful. So, because I am a second generation entrepreneur, right? My father started from almost nothing, and then built it from. He came from an agricultural family, went into retail. So I understand it is sometimes easier to start without anybody else being compared with you, but then sometimes it is so much easier to start with somebody else having that in the family blood. But sometimes it's so difficult if you have people comparing you to your great grandfather, your grandfather, your father. So does that even come up in your mind? My father did this and I want to do, you've already said it, but is there something like, hey, my father's here? Not that I want to compete with him, but he set the right benchmark for me and he's still setting the benchmark for you, right? And you continue to keep moving past the benchmark. Does that even come up in your mind?
Right. So that's a very good question, and let me be very, very frank with you.
You
So
should.
again, as you rightly said, that there's no competition in family. It's all about growing together. And my father has really been my greatest inspiration for me so far. His risk taking abilities, his human management abilities, the quick decision making, everything. So I aspire to be just the kind of person he is. So right now, the benchmark he's going to set for me, of course, I don't see myself just restricting myself over there. I want to take it much higher than what he has left for me, and I think I'll be able to do that really well.
No, I like how you were able to analyze, what your dad does now, saying risk taking and human management, and those are the traits of a good leader. And I see a great family man in you, and I'm sure. So is family around you right now as we're talking? Are they around you watching this?
I think they must be watching this from their mobiles, maybe, because
Okay.
I get quite nervous when they are around.
Hey, trust me, it happens to the best of us when family is around. So, hi to the parents. Thanks for letting him do this, and it's lovely talking to him. So, Tilak, I also read somewhere that your uncle is a part of the business in some form or fashion. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh, that's right. So when I got the idea of papers and parcels, what I did was my uncle was working in a financial background, so I walked up to him and I wanted to ask him, does this business idea make any sense financially? So and so like he so when I used to discuss this with him, I used to constantly go and ask for his inputs and try asking, how can we otherwise redefine the business model. And doing this for a few months, we got so serious that it led him to leave his banking job and develop as and join Papers and Parcels as the CEO.
Lovely. No, well, that is also a great amount of faith you have in family. I mean,
True,
because
very true.
sometimes that is a very tricky situation to be in, and I'm glad your uncle was able to, be there in that capacity also for you. So let's come down to your business. For those people who do not know what this is all about, how would you explain your business to them?
Okay, so let me break it down this way. So the name of the company that I have established in 2018, it is called Papers and Parcels. So Papers and Parcels was launched with a vision of digitalizing the end-to-end logistics sector of the country and
Okay.
providing same-day delivery services within the city of Mumbai at a reasonable price. So we started the company on 18th of July 2018 after tying up with the Mumbai ka dabbawalas to do our deliveries in Mumbai. And in no time, we got a great response from Mumbaikars. And as time passed, we had renowned companies like Metropolis, Hindustan Times, Samsara Group, etc. on board with us. So our success brought us into limelight of a multinational company, which ended up acquiring Papers and Parcels on the 23rd of February 2020.
Congratulations, you're acquired already.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you, thank you.
So this is good. So you started your company in 2018 and you got on with one of the most successful logistics organizations in the world, which is the dabbawalas. I mean,
That's
they
right.
have a naturally high efficiency rate. There have been Six Sigma studies on them, and there have been so many studies on them. So you got to a point where, right, you got them on board. But how difficult was it to get them on board? The dabbawalas, did they say it's like, hey, there's a kid coming and talking to us? Did they see it that way? How did you even get them together? Because I know they work as an organization, but I don't think all of them are working with you. No.
That's right. So, of course, that's one challenge of every kid. As you rightly said, a kid walking up to you. So, that age acts as a barrier for you once, and the next time you see, your age is what is getting you all over the media and the fame that you've got. So,
Yeah.
uh, So like when I first, so I got the idea of doing this with the dabbawalas because all of us know that the Mumbai ka dabbawalas know every street and corner of Mumbai. So I thought,
Indeed.
why not tie up with them, and it's gonna be a win-win for both, an extra income, a source of extra income for them, and of course a win-win for our company. So what I did was I started talking to the dabbawalas that used to come to my society to give back the dabbas and at the nearby railway station. So I used to walk up to them. I used to try and constantly ask them, Uncle, क्या आपको अगर ऐसी opportunity दी तो क्या आप हमारे साथ जुड़ना चाहोगे? And
Mm.
they were not the right person who I was talking to, of course. So
But
they
that's
so
how it
if at all
starts. Yeah.
right. So when I used to go to them, they would be like, बेटे अभी बोर मत करो, हमारे पास बहुत काम है, ये सब डब्बा लेट हो जाएगा आपकी इस बातें सुनने में. So
Yeah.
what I did next was I tried looking up for who was the right person to talk to about this. So I found Mr. Subhash Talekar, who is the president of Mumbai Dabbawala Association. So what I did was I called him up and I asked him whether I could have a meeting with him to explain the business idea that I had that I wanted to do it with them. So I'm pretty sure he did not know I was a 13-year-old then when I talked to him over phone. So like he agreed to have a meeting under the Lower Parel Bridge. I very well remember at the lassi shop. So when I went
The
there,
story. Yeah.
so yes, so like when I went there, I sat with them, and yeah, I shared my business idea with him, and he heard that very very patiently, and I was quite kind of excited and thought that this is going to be the breakthrough. But he ended up saying, "बेटा, जब तुम बड़े हो जाओ तब हम बिजनेस की बात करेंगे. अभी तुम पढ़ाई पे ध्यान दे दो." And they left. So like I stopped him right there, and I was like, ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं. If we don't do a business together, can I just travel with you in the Mumbai local trains for a few days? Because I was ultimately prepared that I'm going to get them on board no matter how, and this opportunity would let me know how incorporating my technology with their logistics would be a perfect combination for my business. So I traveled with them for 15 days in Mumbai local trains in the peak hours. So even Mr. Subhash Talekar did not expect that I would last 15 days. And when he saw my dedication towards, at least starting from being with them, he gave a call to my father and was like, I really see that dedication and enthusiasm, that fire in your child. And the best part, let me tell you, on the last day, they gave me like a farewell at my favorite vada pav station. I discovered quite a lot with them. So I thought that this is a stupid question, but no harm in asking them again. So I asked them, "Dada, क्या आप हमारे साथ जुड़ना चाहोगे?" And his reply was just unexpected, and he was like, "Yes." So that was the breakthrough
Lovely.
point, and it was just amazing. That feeling is just inexpressible.
No, it's phenomenal. See, the one of the young. So I put it this way: the grit in an entrepreneur defines how long he would last in the game, how long he or she would last in the game, and the grit that you show at 13 to go on to one of the most strenuous jobs. People don't understand how strenuous the job of a dabbawala is, right? And you go on with them, last in the Mumbai trains, and then impress them is phenomenal. Hats off to you for that. So, is Mr. Subhash, is he very much in touch with you right now,
Oh
Mr.
yes,
Subhash
Mr.
Talekar?
Subhash Talekar and I, constantly are in touch. We catch up like at regular intervals. So yes, quite a bit.
So you spoke about using your technology. So what sort of a background? I mean, if you were any older, I would have asked you saying, did you really learn this or that? So what sort of a background do you have? Do you have skill sets in technology? I would say coding and all of that, but what sort of skill sets do you have?
So
Or
like
did you
I
have
have
whatever? Yeah.
so I have always been very fascinated with technology, just like any other kid of the 21st century. But I have not been so much into coding and programming. But after all, I'm a Gujarati, and all I know is to study and be aware very very well. So what I understood was the whole world is moving towards technology. Now look at the yellow black taxis; they are onto Ola and Uber. So look at the restaurant delivery guy; it's onto Swiggy. So when everything is moving on an application, when everything is going digital, why not digitalize this sector too? So my so I have always wanted this to be like a 21st century venture, digital and modern. So that is why I thought of incorporating technology into this business of mine.
If I now understand, then see, I'm not from a tech background, but I have the good fortune of working with a lot of tech, and from education, where we run seven institutions, and then in our asset management, in our retail, and now with the new companies that we're launching, which is going live. So I'm not saying much about it, just to make sure that we go live with a bang. I think the most important thing is to understand your idea first and then see if you can get the first few believers. So who were the first few believers? Of course, Mr. Subesh Tileka was also, a believer after 15 days. But you need to have that first few believers, right? Who was that first believer? Your parents? But after that, who? I'm sure it's your parents, but after that, who?
Yes. So, if I want to actually put it into an order, it would be my parents. Then it would be the CEO of our company, Mr. Ghanshyam Pare. Then the
Which is
core team
your,
that we had formed, yes, which who happens to be my uncle. And then, as you
okay.
rightly said, Mr. Subhash Talekar and 300 other dabbawalas with Mr. Subhash Talekar. And moving on, so after that, we needed a grand launch. So we had a press conference with which we launched the company on 18th of July. And after that, I would say, the Mumbaikars, the crowd. So like all the Mumbaikars were my believers after the launch, and that so, yes, after the Mumbaikars, if we move on to, then it would be the renowned companies that I mentioned before. Starting with Metropolis, they were the first one to get on board with us. Then Samsara Group and Hindustan Times came later on. So, but I would give most of my credit, like of course, to each and every one of them, but especially to the Mumbaikars who trusted a 13-year-old and gave such a great response and supported me throughout.
No, beautiful that you spoke about your customers as the believers also. So Mumbaikas were your target group, and they are your customers too. And I was looking up your Google reviews. You've been at 4.6 out of 5 generally, and everywhere you've been acing very good reviews, right? Something that I've been meaning to ask you is, I mean, there is a problem that you were trying to solve. Okay. And I've never spoken about this in this interview, but I was under the impression that a lot of people would know. But I'm going to ask you, what was that problem that really got you inspired to come up with a solution? There's a pain point, right?
Right, of course, of course. So, well, it all started with a necessity. As said, necessity is the mother of invention, right? So,
Yeah.
I had forgotten my books at my uncle's place at Borivali, and when I came back to Ghatkopar, which is the place where I reside, I realized that I had forgotten my books there. So while my test was coming up, and maths has always been a nightmare for, I believe, all the students. So I asked my father if he could send one of his piano driver to get my books collected from there. But he said he couldn't promise because that day there was no piano driver available. So the last option that I had was to appoint a courier company that could get my books on the same day from Borivali to Ghatkopar. So when I searched for same day delivery options, I found very few, and all of them charged about 250 to 300 rupees for a delivery of a book from Borivali to Ghatkopar, which was not a reasonable price at all. So I thought, how can everybody afford such an expensive service, especially because this one is a necessity. So this thought led me to invent this company today and invent a service that was never there before, Papers and Parcels.
Lovely. So that is what gave you the inspiration to really do it. So it was a personal problem that became, which you understood was a common problem for a lot of people. And then you
Right.
got the entire set of believers on board. See, so when we start a company normally, it is, like you said, necessity is the mother of all inventions. And we live in the most innovative times right now because we're all limited in many ways because of COVID itself. A lot of things have changed. And in fact, the company that we're coming up with, which is called MY, right, is again born out of necessity, but it's born to outlast the necessity and become a desire too. So, paper and parcels, right, when you started it, did you ever think it was going to go so big?
When I started Papers and Parcels, of course, you always aim for being the biggest. So, yes, that has always been my vision. And, before we invested our efforts, time, and money into this, we quite well analyzed the market. And because you just can't put in all these three important factors, time, money, and effort, into just randomly anything. So, only after we saw the great potential in the market and the uniqueness in our business, and most of all we believed that our business model would work. So when that happened, we could see ourselves going big, and reaching great heights.
Very well. So you saw the momentum as it picked up, but you also had a strong belief in the solution you were offering for the problem, in simple terms. Now, is it okay for me to talk? There must have been a need for some financial support before all these companies came into play. Where did the bootstrapping come from? Where did the money come from?
So whenever I tell someone that the initial investment came from our parent company, Rushabh Shilling Private Limited. So when I usually say this, some people have this mindset of, अच्छा पापा से ही investment मिला हो तो उसमें कौन सी बड़ी बात है.
Mm-hmm.
But let me tell them that instead, if someone takes an investment from an investor, it would, that's actually easier, because you have to meet the investor at every month, or in a few months, to answer the question how the money was used, whereas you have to face your father each and every day. And when this money, so like when we took the investment from my father, it wasn't as easy as usually people think it was, because when it comes to business, there is so when it comes to business, it is business. Only if he sees potential is he going to invest, otherwise he's not. So I was called on a Sunday. I remember I missed my best friend's birthday for that. So I had gone to my father's office with seven other people in the boardroom, where I had to present my idea and actually tell them why it was worth investing in this company. And that actually gave, so that was quite terrifying, but of course it did pay off very well.
Beautiful. I mean, I'm sure the boardroom had people that was not part of the family and people that who
Of
never
course.
really believed me a thing. So, can I ask you this? Have other kids come to you and said, "Hey, Tilak, I have an idea. I want to talk to you about this." I'm sure a lot of people would have thought
That's
that you
right.
might be a good bandwagon to jump on as well. Um, what kind of ideas have come your way? I mean, and how have you responded to them?
So basically, I've got like many people, constantly approaching me on different social media, via different social media, who want to talk to me about the idea that they have, and some want to work with me. But I try to make it a point to interact and give my inputs as far as I can to benefit them in every way. So I've got various ideas. Like one of them talked to me about. Having bikes. So now there's this company usually that, so it is recently launched, it's called My Bike. So someone had a business plan quite similar to that. So the business plan was like, having these sector, so like these pit stop for bikes, where the bikes would be parked, people could rent a bike over the application, and then like, so like basically rent it on by the application, and then
Understood.
as they, yeah, so as they moved, like reach their desired location, they could park it at the other pit stop nearby.
Right.
So such ideas have come, and I would say that this idea was really innovative. And of course I gave as much as input as I could, and a few learnings that I had after this business venture, so that it's so like certain things that I believe was important to share with them, I did, and I hope that it would have benefited them in every possible way.
Beautiful. See, for all those people, I'm just going to take those two things that you answered. For all those people who think, parents have invested, parents companies have invested, and then who coming to you in the hopes of that you would be a part of it in some way. Taking a decision like this is like getting into either a short term, I don't know if I can put this, it's a relationship that needs to be built. And somewhere business needs to be very firm about business, and relationship can go sour because of business.
Right.
Um, right? So now you're acquired, right?
That's
And
right.
if you were not acquired, how would have this pandemic season affected you?
Well, I'm glad. So I wouldn't say glad, but we are fortunate to be acquired right before the pandemic happened.
Yeah,
So I think I've been lucky all the way. But I'm pretty sure if we were still operating during this pandemic, of course we would have had a big hit because
yeah,
so like again, like most of the other companies have had. So I'm pretty sure we would have had to incur a lot of more
I'm sure.
losses, go through a lot of more challenges, try to get back into work, get that market back because I see after this pandemic, the market that we were aiming for would have also fallen because everything is now over emails and text
Indeed.
messages, and the documents are just like the documents are shared over various platforms. So our business would have may have fallen there too, and I believe it would have been a very big challenge for us, and but it would have been interesting for sure.
I'm absolutely like it is. See, out of the many different verticals we run, some of our verticals have taken a hit, have taken a very detrimental hit. But then we've seen opportunity in other places, and I'm sure somebody like you would have seen the other opportunity and then gone after it. But it's challenges are good things to have because you would have innovated also through those times. And when the challenges don't come, you
Exactly.
seldom do innovate, right? So your company is acquired now, and I think that is a safe place for the company to be in. And I'm sure you would not be able to divulge further information as we spoke. Uh, yeah. So, are you still involved in any way? Do you support, or you just, the acquisition is done and you have your eyes on something else now?
Okay, so basically now the acquisition is done, and now what I'm aiming for is passing out with flying colors after my 10th finishes first, and simultaneously I'm looking at various other opportunities that could come our way, and something that is actually a right potential that I could tap on, and something that I could always get into because I strongly believe the human brain never stops working and
It
it
never
never
does.
will. So
Yeah.
of course, reached like in the near future, I wish to come up with something new, something more innovative than papers and parcels, and that could you know help create a change for everyone.
No, you are a very aspiring young man, and you seem very stern in your belief, and you seem very grounded in reality. So I'm confident whatever you set your eyes to next will be as inspiring, and if not more inspiring. Um, Tilak, let me just ask you this again, right? We've spoken about your education, we've spoken about your parents, we've spoken about your business, right?
Right.
And a little about the future, but we'll be going a little further into that. Um, is education playing any role in what you do right now? Does it even make sense to do? You're talking about 10 standard with flying colors, and coming from a man who runs 7 institutions, I understand there are the education system has its own difficulties and challenges, but does it play a role or constructive role in you know your life?
So I'll tell you. So like basically, some people have also asked me, why don't you just drop out? You already have a business. You can keep doing this. But what I say to them is, I'm no Steve Jobs. If I drop out, I'll have to work at McDonald's. But I strongly believe that education has played a very important role, and it always will, as we are seeing these times. Education is one of the key factors for success, and like what I believe is so like when we talk about my business venture of papers and parcels itself, so I have certain subjects like economics and accounts that I've taken that I've chosen for, and economics, that I have always loved this subject, and because this talks about what's really happening. It is a very practical subject, and that subject quite a lot of time helps you in decision making too. And we also have a subject of business studies, so that is really beneficial for what I actually want to do in my future. And but I strongly believe that if you so education is the most powerful weapon in the world. That's all I have to
Absolutely
say.
is. Absolutely is. Do you know, I was 21-ish when I got into education actively, and that's one of the most highly prejudiced, if I can use the word, it's not even a word, service, because people always think you're good as how old you are. The older you are, the better you are, is what people think. And that time it was one institution. God bless now. I came back, I went back to my studies, and then I came back. And now we're seven institutions. So, education, the reason I did that was because it is the most powerful catalyst to anything. uh, you have it, you know how to use it. But this is what my problem always has been with education. A lot of people study without knowing why they're studying something or learning something. I always use the word learning. But you have a taste of reality, and so you know what you want to learn, right? Is
Right.
there anything that you're going to tell those people out there who just say, I finished 12th with these subjects, and then I'm going to do my master's or undergraduation in completely different subjects, but I end up working somewhere completely differently? Is there anything you can tell those people? Because I believe they're not utilizing the
Right.
opportunity of learning given to them.
So, education is for a fixed number of years. So, what I believe is if you have your goal set right, then do not actually, start with actually choose those subjects or choose that degree or the course that you're opting for, which is going to help you for your ultimate goal, that is your future. So, instead of trying to master everything, concentrate on one simple thing. That is what I believe, because
Yeah,
it's like jack of all, master of none. So
true indeed. Yeah,
so yeah, so that's all I have to say. And as you rightly said, that actually knowing why you're learning a certain thing, not just for the marks, is what's important. Because it's not the ones that who get 97 or 99% who end up being on the on, like, on the Forbes list, or any particular renowned list for that matter. But it's the one who actually believe in their dream, and are knowing, are the ones who actually know what they are doing. So that's all I have
indeed.
to say.
So this I mean, you're a young man, you're a young lad, and me saying this means that I have great respect for what you're doing. Identifying yourself and clearing out your identity is the first step to being whatever you want, and that is. India lives in an identity crisis. We all live in an identity crisis, and you seem to have found your identity. And this is exactly what I said at the Global Child Prodigy Awards as well. I spoke there for a fair, small bit, that you people are leaving very strong footprints in our time, which means you know your identity, and that's why they are footprints. So let me this, which syllabus do you study in?
I'm studying in IGCSE board right now.
IGCSE, right? So you're expected to choose by the ninth grade as to which streams and disciplines that you want to take.
Yes. So by
Yes,
the ninth grade, we have a certain subject options. So we can
correct.
more or less divert into the other fields, not just sticking to that the
Absolutely.
normal studies.
So, so that you figuring out this innate helped you understand in the ninth that you want to choose more into business. And so, what are the subjects that you do right now?
So right now, what I'm doing is English, mathematics. I'm doing science, all the three science: physics, chemistry, biology. French as a second language, because always having a second language is is always a cherry to the
It's a good
cake.
thing. Yeah,
And apart from that, I'm keenly interested in economics and accounts. So these are the 8 subjects that I'm doing right now. And as I advance into my 12th, I plan on adding business studies to it.
very well, very well. Those are the subjects that I fairly did, so I see a lot of synergy there. And yeah, I didn't know French, but I studied in Australia, and then I went to France for my master's. So, and then I learned a bit of French there. Oh, I had to learn a bit of French to get to France. I still can't. Oh, so very well. But good luck with your studies. Good luck with the examinations that are coming up this year. Do you think the examinations are going to happen this year?
I'm pretty sure they're going to happen, as much as I hope they don't.
Because all parents call me and ask me this question, saying, "Sir, is the examinations going to happen?" I keep telling them, if it does or doesn't, it doesn't matter. Just keep learning every day. Just learn something new.
That's very
And
right.
when it does, but I really think to all the parents who are watching this with us from my old schools as well, examinations will happen, is what I believe, because if not, we will not be able to really mark your, or sort of evaluate the efficiency of this year. So that's one of the reasons we will have exams. Tilak, out of curiosity, so you've been on Forbes.
Yes, that's right.
What did you do on Forbes?
So okay, so let me share with you my experience on Forbes as a whole. So like I had been on the Forbes panel with Mr. Ronnie Screwwala, which is an honor itself, and
Yes.
we had a panel discussion with him with other two young innovators, but older than me. So I was the youngest over there, and it was amazing to be on Forbes. So let me share with you my experience overall. So my experience was, I in one word I would say it was just extraordinary. And as I mentioned before, so it was really an honor to be on the Forbes panel with Mr. Ronnie Screwwala,
Yeah.
and having a discussion with having a panel discussion which was organized by the most coveted Forbes itself. And the best part was it was witnessed live by the biggest businessmen, industrialists, and the most renowned personality of the countries of the country itself. So sitting in front of them, and in front of the who's of the who, and it was just spectacular. It was amazing.
Lovely. No, it is also an yeah. So I just think I've worked with Forbes for one of the interviews that I had there, and it's an amazing team they have there, and it's a beautiful thing, and I'm very happy for you. All these talks, these accolades, all that you have, I'm sure will only grow multifold in the years to come. Um, Tilak, before I let you go, right? You are a recipient of you're a prodigy of the Global Child Prodigy Awards, which is an award, one of its kind in the world, because this is where 100 different kids from across the world are selected for different fields. You in business, but there are other. Yesterday, I was talking to somebody in astronomy and astrophysics, and last week it was about social work. And how does it feel
Okay,
being a
so
prodigy?
right. So, firstly, I would really, really like to say that this is a really great initiative that is taken by the GCPA team to identify and award young talents from across the world. And I would say it was really an honor to be one of the 100 selected prodigies from across the globe. And, we awarded the Global Child Prodigy Award 2020 in the domain of entrepreneurship, as you rightly mentioned. So, and I really want to say that this award that was held in Delhi, I remember on the 3rd of January, it
Yes.
is just an unforgettable experience. The glamour with which it was held, and how well it was organized, and especially the esteemed guests that the GCPA team had also called, like Dr. Kailash Satyarthi ji and Dr. Kiran Bedi. But overall, it is really an honor to be one of the 100 selected children from across the globe, and being awarded this award. And uh, and it was overall a wonderful experience with GCPA.
Is there anybody interesting you met at GCP, the Global Child Prodigy Awards? Is there anybody interesting that you liked?
Well, I think the question is wrong. You should have asked, was there anybody not interesting? Because I believe there was literally each and every one of them, each and every of those 100 who had something extraordinary that they had done, and something really, really, you could sit all day long and listen to what the amazing things that they have done. It was amazing to interact with each and every one of them. And I interacted with quite a lot, from some from India, some from other nations. And as I said, it was a wonderful experience overall.
Lovely, lovely. Now, this is so nice of you to take the time to be here with us. And I know personally there's a lot also going there for you. And we
My
really
pleasure.
value what you've just said for all of them. So, all the people watching out there, all the parents and the kids, is there anything that you want to tell them, Tilak?
Okay, so yes, I think I would like to share with them my. So I would like to share my biggest three learnings of life, with each and everyone out there. So the first one is failure is not the opposite of success; it is a part of success. After all, fail stands for first attempt in learning. The second one is the second one is never stop trying, learning, or dreaming, because life. So I define life in one equation, that is x plus x plus x. Yesterday's experience, today's experiment, and tomorrow is expectation. So use your experience in your experiment to reach your expectations. And
Lovely.
last, and the most impactful one on my life is a boxing ring. defeat is not declared when you fall, but when you refuse to rise again. So I think these are the three important learnings of my life. And if it could benefit all of you all in any way, I would be it would be a pleasure for me. And that is all I wanted to tell each and every budding entrepreneur, or each and every personality and every person out there.
You're a tremendous young man, Tilak. I've had a fabulous, fabulous talk with you. I see a lot of synergies in, because I started fairly young. So I'm super confident that all that you're doing out there will take you to greater heights, and your family will be there for you as they always have been. And I hope our lives cross again someday as peers, rather than anything, as business people as well. I hope to. And I look forward to seeing you whenever the opportunity presents itself. And if you do come down to the south, we run a beautiful school in Uti. Do come be our guest. We'd love
Definitely.
to have you here, right? So thanks a lot for being here, Tilak. And for every other viewer out there, the Global Child Prodigy Awards, Prodigy Talks, will be live on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. At 1 p.m. mostly, but based on international participants' times, they can vary from 1 to 7 p.m. We look forward to you viewing us. We've had some tremendous viewership. Every talks of us have been viewed a few thousand times already. And we sincerely hope all of you out there benefit from this, benefit from these prodigies. And if you know anybody out there that needs to be recognized and would love to be a part of the Global Child Prodigy Awards, please do shoot us an email with all the details, and our panel will look into them, because there is a strenuous process before we identify somebody like Tilak as a prodigy. So thanks a lot for watching, and we look forward to catching you again. Thank you, Tilak.
Thank you.